In our business as freelance marketers, value is going to come in the form of reducing the time someone has to spend to do something. Therefore, they can go do higher end things. And you really got to get that in your mind, right? That wealthier people don't want to do what you're doing because they can actually do something where they can make more money than what they're paying you to do. Bringing it back to value. The interesting thing about the value equation is there's a top and a bottom, and I think people always get this wrong. And what is good work? It doesn't mean big project. The first side of the equation says desired outcome. Let's just fill it out, okay? Time, and what's the other one? Effort and sacrifice. Okay, value is a function of getting what you want multiplied by the risk you actually get it, because sometimes marketing doesn't work. How long it takes, time, how much effort and sacrifice the client has to put in. So let's say you want to help them grow their following on Instagram, but they have to spend 3 hours a day. That's not that valuable. Versus they can just click one button and it's a lot cheaper. That could be a lot more valuable. So the number one mistake that most freelancers don't clue in on is getting the denominator of the equation to 0. And that makes value infinite, right? If we have 1 over 0 or 20 over, let's say 1, or even 100 over 4, you can see that when the denominator is low, value is high. And in this case, when denominator is 0, value is infinite because this is actually undefined. But it's impossible almost for the denominator to be 0. But that's the idea, is that instead of focusing so much on getting people crazy outcomes, get people certain short-term outcomes often that don't take a lot of time or effort. If you can figure out how to do that, you're going to be offering a lot of value. And you could say that that is good work. I don't know how else you want to define good work. Good work could also be fast, simply just fast, mistake-free. As far as what your designs are, what your copying is, it all falls into here. What do you need to do to get the result you want? And so the problem, I think, for a lot of freelance marketers is deciding what should we do exactly to help people. Should we get them more traffic? Should we get them more leads? Should we help them get conversions? Well, you can do them all. Absolutely, you can. And I think that's the power of the one-person marketing agency, is to get control of that entire customer journey. But I also think for a lot of new people, you might want to just focus on one thing for a while. And I have lately been telling people, have your one-person marketing agency subscription price ready to go, whether that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 a month. But also work to develop some unique offers yourself, whether it be like some sort of content sprint, whether it be a brand new lead magnet funnel, whether it be a quiz funnel, whether it be a VSL or a special video. Those types of offers can get certain people excited, which would then get them to know about your subscription model. So instead of getting married right away, try to go on one date. Okay, this is a bit complicated for some people. Not everyone's ready to understand value. You've heard maybe in the last 10 years, bring value, bring value. What does that mean? People didn't know. And then a lot of times people would say, oh, it just means like making content that's really useful. And that is true. But when you're in a service, you don't just make content. You actually have to create value. If you want to be paid month after month, you want to create value month after month. So, even if you don't think about this equation as a one-time offer or one-time product or service, let's think about this equation as, why would my client stay with me? Because I'm bringing value. How do I get that to happen? Well, save them tons of time, reduce all their effort and sacrifices, do things that are low risk, and as much as you can, work towards the outcome. The good news about marketing, I would say, is that the outcome, it's on a spectrum. And as long as it's going in a positive route, you're probably going to feel like you're bringing value. But if you're slow, if you require a lot of help from your client, if you're risky, of course, you really have to nail the desired outcome. I think that the idea is to put less emphasis on the outcome and more emphasis on time savings. Now, before I go on, I want to mention a few more skills that I didn't bring up earlier that you might be thinking about, and this will help you deliver good work, and that's what I call gravitas. Let's talk about gravitas just quickly. I mean, I don't talk about it a lot, but Gravitas is a set of skills plus EQ plus communication. It's not easy to explain. It's sort of what you develop as a professional. And so for me, after I got into freelancing, I developed my gravitas and I became better at everything. I said, everything's a presentation. How do I make my YouTube videos better? How do I make my Zoom calls better? How do I make my work better? How does everything present better, right? Just thinking that way. And, you know, I developed a lot of strong, what I would call client communication skills. And I think that's one of the things that I've provided that I don't think very many other people in this planet have tried or can. You know, if you join my products, you can listen to my actual client calls, which is pretty unique. And I think you'll see there that you have to develop a bit of a professional range that includes like advisory, that includes question asking, but also includes boundary setting and vision and, you know, all these things, right? Consulting and just the complexities of business. So I think that that is something you don't need as a freelancer, but will very quickly set you apart if you can be thinking that way and say, okay, look, I'm not going to master this. This takes a lifetime to become great, but I'm going to be aware that paying attention to how I present, paying attention to how I ask questions, paying attention to how I speak, it's all very important. And that if we want to get a lot more confidence, if we want to get a lot more authority, that these things are going to be as important as well. So building skills creates what's called competence. You can competently build a website. You can competently edit a video. You can competently write a landing page copy. When you can competently do something, you will naturally have confidence. So people are like, how do you get confident? How do I build confidence? Well, you build your competence. And that's why we say skills, skills, skills. Once you have those skills, you're kind of matching 10% of other people. If you want to be up to the top 1%, then it's all about professionalism. Because believe it or not, even you want to work remotely, even you don't want to have an office, you want to be a one-person agency, you still must be a professional. And that doesn't mean being strict and flat and boring. It just means that people understand that they're safe working with you, that the way you do things, that even if things aren't going well, the way you communicate, the way you handle them, you know, it's going to be an important thing. I'd say on top of that, adding in personal discipline, that's going to be important. Raising your standards, that's part of becoming a freelancer. Yeah, I'd say that that's a little bit better picture of what it's going to take if you are at absolute zero today and you want to become a digital marketing hero one day. Yeah. The 3 pillar skills, which is going to be a quest in its own right, a journey, as I like to say. You know, to learn funnels is multifaceted. You're going to read a couple books. You're going to want to build a couple sites and pages. You're going to learn a couple tools, watch some courses. It's not just a one night thing, you know? If you enjoyed that clip, you'll love the full live stream. I've linked it here for you. And if you're looking for something for beginners, check this video out. It's an A to Z. See you guys next time.